In this unit, we'll be talking about contracts. Contracts are things that you will enter in every single day of your life. Pretty much all of our transactions are contracts. At the basis, contracts are enforced promises. So we make promises to one another to do things, to produce things, to produce services for things, and all of those promises we want to be able to enforce, because if we weren't able to enforce promises, then there'd be no accountability. And so we do that through what we call contracts. And so by in nature, you see contracts throughout your day, whether it be going to the grocery store, going to Starbucks or a restaurant, whether it be through your streaming services like Spotify or Netflix or Hulu, or any of those, Apple Music. All of those things are contracts. You have contracts with your lease. You have a contract on your phone. You have a contract with your phone service. You have a contract with your car. All of these things are contracts that you interact with every single day. And it's important for you to understand what contracts are, how they look, what's in them, how they're interpreted. And that's what we're going to be doing in this unit. But the first thing we need to do is to define contracts. We do that through this definition. A contract is an agreement between two parties that creates an obligation to perform or not to perform a particular duty. Now, it's important to talk to you about being able to perform, which I think we all understand, right? That if I pay $5 for you to mow my lawn, right, that's $5 for mowing my lawn. However, I can also pay you in what we call forbearance, and that means that I pay you to not do something, right? So perhaps I pay you not to smoke or vape, or maybe I pay you not to go do that activity, right? And by creating a contract, I can create a contract for you to do something, or I can create a contract for you not to do something. So it's important to remember forbearance is also a contract. Now, one of the things that's really important for you to understand is we get into what we call mutual assent. Mutual assent means a reasonable person in the position of the promisee must believe that the other party intends to be bound, and the promisee must have actually believed so. That essentially boils down to what we call objective theory. Does the objective person think that two people want to be bound? Two people can be joking around, two people can be just kind of laughing it off, right? Like, so when I say, I bet you $100 that the Cavs are going to win 20 games this year, I'm not actually being serious. I'm just talking to my friends about how bad the Cavs are, and how we haven't won 20 games in the last 2 seasons. Although asterisks, they wouldn't let us play. We could have won this year, I think, but of course COVID. So, but that goes back to the fact that if we never really meant to be part of a contract doesn't form. It's only when people want to be bound by the term. They want to be in an enforceable promise, and not just two people talking. So, I have an example here for you. Skeletor says, "I will sell you Snake Mountain for $100. He-Man says, "Sure, I'll give you $100 for Snake Mountain." But He-Man already knows that Skeletor will not part with Snake Mountain for any price. Even a reasonable person would have thought Skeletor was serious. That means that because He-Man knew that Skeletor wasn't serious, that he wasn't going to part with Snake Mountain, that there's no contract for him, even though an objective person might say that it is. You have to be wanting to agree to those terms to be bound by a contract. So, when we get into contracts, we talk about the 3 things that we need. We talk about offer, acceptance, and consideration, and we'll talk about that next.